ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦਿ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦਿ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦਿ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦਿ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦਿ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ 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 ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ Okay ji, thank you very much for coming. So today is a special day in our history. Anybody know what day it might be? Anyone? Hanji? It's Sangrand, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Also, yeah, it's Sangrand and also. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, Bhai Singh Siddhi Purab. Yeah, so brilliant. Yeah, so it's Sangrand as well as Bhai Singh Ji's Shahidi. Now, I think Bhai Singh Ji, Bhai Mani Singh and Baba Deep Singh Ji, their Sakhiyan I think, unless you've been hiding under a rock somewhere, or just never been to the Gurdwara, everyone heard of those Sakhiyan and what they represent and what they mean for us, the significance of those Sakhiyan. And today, obviously, Bhai Singh Ji Shahadat, Bhai Singh Ji Shahidi. We remember Bhai Singh Ji in Ardas every single day. ਜਿੰਨਾ ਖੋਪਰ ਲੋਹਾਈ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਖੋਪਰ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਜਿਹੜੀ so your scalp basically ਲੋਹਾਈ ਹੈ ਨਾ so we refer to Bhai Singh Ji and because it's Bhai Singh Ji's Shahidi Dihada today we're going to talk about Bhai Singh Ji a little bit of course but we're going to talk about the importance of keeping case, right? Why should we keep case, long case, or not cut or shave? And there are many challenges, as you know, Panji just asked about where we can get help if we are trying to keep that part of the rat. Is most probably like the most difficult one for people because it's when you start walking on the path of Maharaj and the Rahat, that probably is the most visible part that your friends or work colleagues or your, whoever, or your partner sees. So it's like very visible change they can see, and often obviously they don't recognize the person. If you don't, if you shave and if you cut your hair and then you start to grow it, and there's many photos you see of people who before and after, and you can't really recognize who it is. So it is very challenging for people to accept, and I think they themselves as well, so some sort of insecurity somewhere. And how do we get rid of? And it's really important to understand the importance of case, right? Now, certain answers. So in this presentation, I have tried to include some scientific arguments, if you like, right? And obviously there are from Gurbani and from our history, we're going to look at some references that allude us to the fact that we should, as a Gursikh, be keeping case, right? But ultimately, thing with, I always believe, my personal belief is, it's good to have scientific sort of reasoning. However, for me, that is like secondary, right? For me, is what Guru Sahib Ji says, okay? Because if you have the belief that Guru is Pura, first and foremost, if we believe the Guru is Pura, as in complete and is perfect, then whatever Maharaj gave us is perfect as well. And the way to be, way to live is perfect as well. That doesn't mean we can't ask a question, right? Because the other thing Guru Sahib Ji discourages is living your life in what we call Shanka. Shanka handiya, if you're in two minds, so duality, is it or isn't it, kind of thing. Maharaj also encourages us to get rid of our param. Sada param nikal jave. Because unless we can get rid of param, right, and have nothing but total belief in Maharaj's words and what Maharaj has told us, right, then we can't really progress. It's always going to be at some point where some things, our doubts will overcome at some point, and when they overcome, then sometimes we lag so far behind that either you're like it going back, and then you kind of sort of lose the opportunity. So there is no kind of two ways about it. Guru de naal koi we have a debate with we can't debate Guru Sahib Ji. Okay, Maharaj will turn around and say, Pad akhare ho bujhiye, murkhe naal na lujhiye. We do not argue with the fool. That doesn't necessarily mean fool is somebody who is of lower intellect. But what that means is someone who's already made up their mind, right? And they're just arguing, not because they want to learn something or gain something, because the belief that they've already have and the mind that they've already made, they just want to cement it somehow and live with themselves thinking what I believe is correct. Magar it's probably not the best way to live ਵੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਆ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਪਤਾ ਆ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਸੋ ਐਨੀਵੇ ਸੋ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਮੇਰਾ ਮਨ ਸਾਧੂ ਧੂਰ ਰਵਾਲ ਹਰ ਹਰ ਨਾਮ ਦ੍ਰਿੜਾਇਓ ਗੁਰ ਮੀਠਾ ਗੁਰ ਪੱਗ ਝਾਰ ਹੈ ਹਮ ਬਾਲ Now Maharaj here we starting off with this pankti it's the highest for a Sikh is the seva. Which seva is the highest? The seva of the Guru is the highest and the seva of the Sangat is the highest, right? And when we talk about if we're going to do seva of Guru Maharaj's charan and Maharaj says what do I have in my possession that is so qeemati that I can use to do that seva. And Guru Sahib Ji turns around and says, "Bhai, har har naam dhradayo, gur meetha gur pag char hai hum baal." भी ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੇਸ ਨੇ ਕੇਸ ਗੁਰ ਕੇ ਚਰਨ ਕੇਸ ਸੰਗ ਝਾਰੇ ਵੀ ਕੇਸਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਮੈਂ ਝਾੜਾਂ ਸਾਫ਼ ਕਰਾਂ so that I wipe and clean Guru's feet with my case, right? What does that actually mean? Were there Sikhs who were going around doing that to Maharaj, or it's a metaphor for something, right? There might have been some Gursikhs who did seva like that, but don't know, there might have been. But what it actually means is it's the most qeemati, the most priceless possession that we have, even more priceless and qeemati than our hands, right, is ਜਿਹੜੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਨੇ ਕੇਸ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਆ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੰਮੇ ਕੇਸ ਵਾਲ ਵੀ ਇੰਨੇ ਕੀਮਤੀ ਆ ਵੀ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਜੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਿਤੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮਿਲ ਪਾਓ ਅਤੇ ਜੇ ਕਿਤੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਸੇਵਾ ਦਾ ਮੌਕਾ ਮਿਲ ਜਾਏ ਇਫ ਆਈ ਹੈਵ ਅ ਚਾਂਸ ਟੂ ਡੂ ਸੇਵਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਐਂਡ ਕਲੀਨ ਦੇਅਰ ਫੀਟ what would I use ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਕੇਸ ਸੋ that's what that means ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕੇਸ ਜਾਨ ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਕਹਿ ਲਓ and we know that ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪ੍ਰਾਣਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਪਿਆਰੇ that it's the case of more than this precious breath that we have, this swas that we have to the Gursikhs. That's how precious the case are. And why are they? Right? And Maharaj says, here we Guru Sahib, so this is a Ratnama. Because, why are they so important to the Sikhs? Because it's case work, they work as a stamp. Dohra panch kakar ki rehat ko tan te kabhu na tyag, right? So the Ratnama is from various Gursikhs wrote. So they recorded as Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj would give out rat, how to be as a Sikh, right? And the Sikhs would record it, write it down. So that's what became Ratnama, right? And Maharaj says that panch kakar ki rehat ko, the one who follows and adorns the rat, the conduct, the code of conduct of the 5 kakar. Obviously, you got your kanga, kada, kirpan, kach, and then sitting above all of them is kes mohar vadpag. So, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕੇਸ ਨੇ, so out of all the panch kakar, the case are the sirmor, right? They're like the supreme. And Maharaj says, why? Because that's my more. That's my stamp, right? Je ko kave na bhi Guru da Sikh, like if you are to make any document official, recognized as official and be accepted by all as official, it has to have a signature or a stamp. Without it, it could have everything, all the legalities, and somebody amazing would have, put that document together. Unless it has the more approval, it's worthless. It's worthless. It will not count for anything. ਜੇ more ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗੀ, it's a counterfeit. ਫਿਰ ਉਹਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ. ਲੱਖਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਕੱਖਾਂ ਦਾ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦਾ. So lakh means here like without any value. Meaning like the value is so great you can't put a number on it, and to kak, right? Kak is like nothing, right? And without Guru's more, we are like that, right? And the more is the case, okay? Now, We could be an amazing human being, right? Some of you might be, right? Amazing human beings. And some of you might be amazing Gursikhs. In the sense, like, you keep the rat as much as possible, right? But just like the more, but if we don't possess the case, the more of the Guru, right, then we're going to find it really hard to be accepted hereafter, right? Doesn't mean you're not a good person. Doesn't mean you have not tried. But the thing is, it's like when we go to the Guru, it's a total submission. It is not about bargaining with the Guru and pick and mix with the Guru, pick and mix the rat. I choose this, I choose that, and that's good, that's great, that works for me. This works in today's society, maybe this doesn't, and that's it. No, everything. But that also doesn't, if we look at the opposite now, right? All you have is just case. Okay? All you have is just case, you have no rat, na hi bani padda, na hi seva karda, kakar pale case rakh le. Equally, right, you can have a stamp on a piece of paper, but what is it still, what's it worth? As in, like, what will you be able to get for it? There's nothing on it. Or, if it's incorrect, it'd be void. It'd be void. Just like that. We need both. We need both. Kesan di rat sarmoria, right? And it's the first rat for a Gursikh. And it's something, if we look at history, we're going to look at a little bit of history from other faiths as well. What do they say about case? Case was like a normal thing. You know, like how it's normal for people to have, cut hair or shave, whatever. This is like normal now. This is what's deemed as normal, right? But back when people were that much more closer to Paramatma, to bhakti, meditation, bandagi, they have very little materialistic possessions, right? Very simple life, being very simple, nothing complicated, right? Rab nu yaad karde sige, there was no like, confusion. And it was just a normal thing. Bhave Hindu si, Musliman si, Asai si, jede marji sige, it was never questioned. It was like, it wasn't odd, right? Even if you look at some of the old paintings from different cultures, you will see that people had long hair and dadiya and all sorts, right? So it was the norm. It wasn't something that big, but it's become a big issue now, and people find it hard because the thing is, you will stand out. Soon as you put the star on, or start growing case, put the star on yourself, and that's it. You get recognized. So it becomes a challenge, and if you're not strong enough, right, in what you believe, okay, in your conviction, then you're going to find it hard to carry it on, right? So I think that was another reason why Maharaj gave us such a visible rat as well. Because Maharaj says, from the outset, if you are so weak that you can't even let your body sort of live in God's will, if you are even shying away from what you have total control over. I don't have any control over my kids. Well, these days you can't. It's like kids are just, I don't know what. So like they come installed with so many viruses or whatever it is. So like, so the kids, they're not in my control. But what I'm trying to say is, it's like, I can't say you could, up to a certain, age, a point, you could, say to the kids, I need done that. But after that, it's on their own life, right? But like, I can, put certain sort of, not restrictions, but I can accept certain challenges to become a better person, right? And Maharaj says that if we are so low and weak when it comes to having mental strength to be able to cope with difficulties of a spiritual world, a physical world, then we got no chance of facing difficulties when we step onto the spiritual world. So first and foremost, acceptance, and the hardest, right, is to accept the way you are, how Paramatma has created you. And Maharaj says that Guru is not just Guru's stamp, because Guru is Paramatma, it's also Paramatma's stamp, right? If you let a child grow in Paramatma's will, then they will end up with long hair case, right? So that means a more Paramatma vallon ha jehdi Guru ne laati ithe aake, right? So it's that important jehde case ne Guru di more a more to bagair saad sangat ji, any piece of document, just like how it's worthless, just like that Jivan of a Gursikh, without this more, right, we will not be able to count for much. Yes, you will get rewarded for all the good that you have done. But if you want Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj to claim you as his Sikh, then you're gonna need the more, right? You're gonna need the more, the stamp. Okay, ji. Right, so this is like the boring bit, right? And some like difficult words in it. So I was like, all right, I'll copy and paste it, but I'll just get you to read it, right? But the point of this slide was to understand that how complicated the whole system is of your case. Look at the whole, diagram, how it's all connected, right? And your hair, they speak to your body, they guide your sarir, your body, right? They're in like a continuous communication in how, right, our body functions and works, right? So you can read that bit yourself, as I said. I'm not going to go through all the details, but just to show and make a point that it's not just, people don't really think about it, right? They be like, I heard some people say, some obviously people who have, Hanji, Carlo, answer. No? All right, okay. All right. So, anyway. Yeah, so, Hanji.
Sorry, Bhai, because I'm just reflecting on one of the things that you said before about the importance of gas and everything. But I think it's also important to highlight that a lot of children don't really are part of that decision when they're young. Their parents just cut their hair, and perhaps our Sangat needs to understand that, or start thinking about letting the child make their own choice when they're at a much older age, but giving them support to grow their hair at the beginning, because a lot of people just cut their children's hair, a bit of a boy or a girl, at a very young age, where the child hasn't got no understanding or part of that decision.
Hanji. Now, absolutely, it's a very good point. My personal view is I see it as a pop. I personally see it as pop. But the way I see it, if we go back to, we've had it so many times, that when Maharaj was told, Guru Gobind Singh Ji was told about the Chote Sahibzade being Shaheed, and seen his elder to become Shaheed, and Maharaj pointed and he said, it doesn't matter. Look at all these. They pointed at us. It doesn't matter if 4 of my sons are not here, but because of them, they're like lakh hajar. They're like so many. Because of them, they have life now. And he was pointing at us. So every child, the way I see it, is born into a Sikh household, right? Is because of that sacrifice. And Maharaj says, inna karke aaj hunde a. So the way I see it, is my personal belief is because of the sacrifice that Maharaj and the Sahibzade made, that we have our own Sahibzade, our own children now. And je assi ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੇਸ ਆਪ ਕਤਲ ਕਰ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ, the way I see it, to me that's pop. Whether obviously you have a different view to it, but we shouldn't be doing that, right? Like you're saying, let them make their own decision, right? my daughter goes to a Catholic school, and there's some other child there. So there's a few Punjabis, a few Sikhs, and one boy, he used to have long hair, right? And so the school ended for the year, and he came back the next year. And we were all like, so we were like so distraught. We're like, ikko hi siga hor naal, like, but now even he's cut his. But the thing is, but Maharaj is so amazing. Turned around to the parents and said, look, I don't want to cut. Why are you cutting my kids? I don't want to cut my kids. I want to go. I want to grow my kids. And fair play to the parents. They let him. And now he's proud. He's got big juda and he's proud, right? And he's got the same confidence that we used to see him, Bella, right? Same confidence. So it's sometimes our own kind of like, insecurities or our own fears. We sort of project and we think we want to shield and, our kids. But to me, that's Bab. So make the kids, give them a choice, when they're growing up. If they come to a point and what it should be also is you should be having a good open discussion with your kids. So what it shouldn't be either is just merely like, something that you force upon, right? And so your kids feel trapped, or they're like, and obviously about a few months ago we heard that, story of this boy who cut his own hair, but then blamed it on a racist attack, saying, some people came but then admitted that he wanted to cut his gears, and that's the only. So it shouldn't get to that point where they feel they have to invent something like that, a story, because they feel trapped in whatever. Have an open relationship, open dialogue with your kids. Don't force anything, but inspire them, right? Inspire them so that they themselves are strong enough to be able to, with Maharaj's properly keep their case, or if there is, something that they'll be able to come and say to you, look, mum and dad, or whatever, this is, not working out, whatever it is. But anyway, yeah, it's a very good question, Benji. So it's good to sort of talk about that as well. So again, what do our guests do? Now, people have come across these different sort of points before. So when we talk about now stuff here, like the first one, the hair of the legs regulate the glandular system and stabilizes a person's electromagnetic field. Now you'll be able to, go through all these fantastic what hair does, and you can't take away from what this gift actually does for us, right? It's not just, Maharaj was kind of, sitting there and he's got his drawing pad. He's like, how are these humans going to look, right? And he's drawing the case on it, going, yeah, they look good, so I'm going to give them case. No, they have a purpose, right? Har ek cheez da koi na koi kam hai shareer de vich. Everything has a function. So, and the thing with the long hair, it's like ਜਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦੀ ਕਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਨਹੀਂ ਨਾ ਪਈ, people don't understand the value ਜੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਈ. Give you like a really silly example here, right? It's been really hot lately, right? I know, because everyone's been moaning about it, and everyone's been going on like, oh, it's so hot, and I'm like, yeah, I know it is. But we've got this old sort of car, right, and had no AC. Basically, it has an AC, but it doesn't work, right? And we had it for about 4 years. And kadi lord nahi pai. But now we're like, yaar, te garmi mein mar gaye, you open the window, but if you go on the motorway, it's just like, the noise is just crazy, and all the little bugs and whatever like end up in your body and stuff. So you know, you having to comb them out your daddy. So, but so we were like, is this guy? Yeah, he's got a con, but it doesn't work. So took it to the mechanic. Oh, it's gas pawn wali I said, "Pa de yaar, ye pawn wali a." And so he put the gas in, and now, you know, it doesn't matter now. So the point I'm trying to make is, hair it has a very spiritual connection to, you know, people use this word, to the cosmos or to the universe, and obviously we to Paramatma, right? And jede rishi log ya, right, the yogis, they always explain it as a upside down sort of plant, if you like, where your hair, right, they work as a jar, roots, right? And those roots, they extract, right, the spiritual nutrients and goodness, right? Whatever Maharaj has made. So to try and connect with Paramatma, and they always, the other example is the juda. Jede rishi log hunde utte juda karke, because it's coiled up. So when you have a conductor that is coiled up, those of you who do, you know, electronics, whatever, that, you know, it becomes a better conductor if it's coiled up. So jada juda vi karna hai, not just having case bhi khulle hi chhadte, you know, mara nahi. So there's a purpose why it sits in a juda as well. So jade rishi log hunde sige, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਜੂੜਾ ਇੱਥੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਕਰਕੇ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ. And just like how a plant needs the goodness and the food and water from the soil, right, through its roots, just like that spiritually, if you want to progress, okay, and want to become a success, then Maharaj says that ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਡੇ case ਨੇ, what Guru Sahib ji, they're giving us those case for that purpose. So we're able to connect with Paramatma. ਹੁਣ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਦੀ ਭਗਤੀ ਕਰਨੀ ਨਹੀਂ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਰੱਬ ਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਜਪਣਾ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂਗਾ, ਉਹ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਕੇਸ ਕੱਟ ਲੈਣ, ਲੰਬੇ ਰੱਖ ਲੈਣ, ਛੋਟੇ ਕਰ ਲੈਣ, ਵਿੱਚ ਵਿਚਾਲੇ ਰੱਖ ਲੈਣ, ਕੋਈ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ, ਹੈ ਨਾ? ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਦੀ ਨਾਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਪਣਾ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ. They're like, you know, what's the point? It's all like make-believe. There's nothing like that. So they'll just be stuck with the scientific side. Oh yeah, so they give protection from the sun, but if I wear a hat, I can do the same thing. You know, come to that conclusion. So neither here or there. So just like जिन्ना चेर लोड़ नहीं पैंदी, उन्ना चेर उस चीज़ दी कीमत नहीं पता लगदी. Like we didn't realize the कीमत of the AC until it got really hot. Right? भी हाँ, हुण थोड़ा मजे नाल मौज नाल जाईदा जिथे जाना, भावें जिन्नी मर्जी गर्मी हो जाए. Just like that, when we start, when we are awake spiritually, ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਾਗ ਪੈਂਦੇ ਆ, ਉਦੋਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਪੈਂਦੀ ਆ. ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬਹਿ ਕੇ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਧਿਆਨ ਲਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ, right? ਕਿੰਨਾ ਕੁ ਧਿਆਨ ਸਾਡਾ ਜੁੜਦਾ, ਕਿੰਨਾ ਕੁ ਟੁੱਟਦਾ ਆ, right? And so it's very important for that reason, right? So obviously, like, there's, you know, lots of different reasons, but that's like the main sort of reason. ਜਿੰਨੇ ਭਗਤੀ ਕਰਨੀ, ਜਿਹਨੇ ਰੱਬ ਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤੀ ਕਰਨੀ, ਰੱਬ ਦੀ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤੀ ਕਰਨੀ, ਜਿਹਨੇ, ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਜਿਹਨੇ ਰੱਬ ਨੂੰ ਪਾਉਣਾ ਆ, ਧਿਆਨ. ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਧਿਆਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਜੁੜਦਾ. We say ਸਾਡਾ ਧਿਆਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਜੁੜਦਾ. People say you can't concentrate, you can't say. There's various different reasons for it, yes, but the main reason, Sadh Sangat Ji, is if our antennas kind of, you know, damaged or broken, it's not even there, then we're going to find it a lot more harder to do that. You'll be able to catch low frequencies, you know, like I don't know if you've ever seen, I've seen this, you know, that when you see the soldiers, they got a little, like, you know, device, but it's got a massive, like, you know, antenna on it, because of dur tak ਹੋਰ ਸੈਟਲਾਈਟ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਮਰਜੀ ਉਹ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਹੈ ਨਾ? So that's why sometimes ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕੇਸ ਕੱਟਦੇ ਆ, when ਜਦੋਂ, you know, people these days they do meditation, you know, yoga is a big thing, and all of that kind of stuff, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਮਾੜਾ ਮੋਟਾ ਧਿਆਨ ਜੁੜ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਆ, yeah? So they're able to kind of connect to something, but that's very, like, kind of sort of low sort of frequencies that are sort of, you know, in a small range, shall I say, a small range. They're able to connect to things that are in small range. But if you want to connect to Paramatma, ਉਹਦੇ ਲਈ ਓਡਾ ਹੀ ਵੱਡਾ ਜੰਤਰ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਵੀ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਦੂਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਤੋਂ ਬੈਠੇ ਆ, not physically, but ਧਿਆਨ ਦੇ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ, right? Our concentration, so far from Paramatma. So we need something to help that concentration, bring it closer. So ਕੇਸ ਉਹਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਰੱਖਣੇ, ਜੂੜਾ ਕਰਨਾ। ਤੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਫਿਰ ਨਾਮ ਜਪਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਦਾ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਭਗਤੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਪਾਠ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਉਦੋਂ ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਕੇਸਾਂ 'ਚ ਵੀ ਤਾਕਤ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਐਂਡ all our body ਸਰੀਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇੱਕ ਇੱਕ ਰੋਮ ਵੀ ਆ। ਹਾਂਜੀ, yeah.
So you mentioned the Duran, keep it, to help connect. What relevance has that got to the Dasam Dwar then? Is that all connected or?
Yeah. So your Dasam Dwar, okay, so it's like they say, when babies are born, you can feel that soft. That's called the, that's the talu ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆ। ਉੱਥੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਦਸਮ ਦਵਾਰ ਆ, right? So you're keeping your ਦਸਮ ਦਵਾਰ protected as well, right? ਜਦੋਂ ਜੂੜੇ ਤੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, and it sits at the right place on top of your ਦਸਮ ਦਵਾਰ, so when you're trying to connect, so it has that significance as well. So the juda is on your ਦਸਮ ਦਵਾਰ. It's very important. ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਈ ਇੱਥੇ ਕਈ ਕਰਨ ਲੱਗ ਪੈਂਦੇ ਆ ਜਿਹਨਾਂ ਜੂੜਾ, it's like trying to hide as much as ਕੱਟ ਤੇ ਸਕਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ, ਹੁਣ ਕੀ ਕਰੀਏ, trying to hide as much as we can, ਮਗਰ ਇੱਥੇ ਜੂੜਾ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਉੱਪਰ। ਉਹਦਾ the purpose, shall I say, ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਉਹਦਾ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗ ਗਿਆ ਵੀ ਸੋ ਯੈਸ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਦਸਮ ਦਵਾਰ ਆ, it all goes hand in hand. ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਭਗਤੀ ਕਰਨ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਨਾ, when people start doing ਭਗਤੀ, when they're sitting and they start connecting, then you feel ਵੀ ਹਾਂ what was the purpose of this, what was the purpose of that, ਫਿਰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਉਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦੀ ਵਰਤੋਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ। Okay, so as I said before, many cultures they used to have, and to cut someone's case was actually a sort of sign of dominance and of, like, say, someone's ਬੇਇੱਜ਼ਤੀ, ਉਹਦੀ ਬੇਇੱਜ਼ਤੀ ਕਰਨੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੀ, ਉਹਦੇ ਕੇਸ ਕੱਟ ਦੇਣੇ। So Genghis Khan or Genghis Khan or whatever, however you want to pronounce it, when he conquered China, he sort of worked out that these people, bhakti, ਉਹ ਵੀ meditation ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, like, you see the Buddhists doing a lot of meditation and stuff, and he's like, they're very hard to sort of subdue and conquer, and one of the reasons obviously ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਲੰਮੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੇਸ ਨੇ, so he ordered for their case to be cut, right? ਛੋਟੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਕੇਸ, because they exist, and it was a sign of slavery, ਵੀ ਚੱਲ ਇਹ ਹੁਣ ਸਾਡੇ ਅਧੀਨ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ, ਇਹਦੇ ਕੇਸ ਕੱਟ ਦਿੱਤੇ, right? And obviously the Japanese samurai, if you see, they have long case as well, ਵੀ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਸਿਰ ਤੇ ਲੰਮੇ ਕੇਸ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਆ, ਹੈ ਨਾ, top knot, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਜੂੜਾ ਕਹਿ ਲਓ, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਆ, ਸੋ ਇਹ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਸਟਾਈਲ ਜਿਹਾ ਮਾਰ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਇੱਥੇ ਰੱਖ ਕੇ, but yeah, so, and it is very important, I think, I can't remember fully this conversation about some footballer, he's got long sort of hair, and one of the reasons he gave is that it helps him become a better player, because he's a bit more alert, he feels a bit more aware, a bit more alert, so his senses, okay, are enhanced, right? But different cultures, they use they know this technology, right? They know this technology, because the thing is, ਜੇ ਕੋਈ ਰੱਬ ਨੇ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਆ, right, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਅਕਲਮੰਦ ਹੋਊਗਾ ਉਹ ਸੋਚੂਗਾ ਵੀ ਰੱਬ ਨੇ ਕਿਉਂ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਆ, ਪਤਾ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮੇਰੇ ਵਰਗਾ ਮੂਰਖ ਹੋਊਗਾ ਕਹੇ ਯਾਰ ਇਹ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿਉਂ ਦੇ ਦਿੱਤੀ, ਲੋੜ ਤੇ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ, ਚਲੋ ਇਹ ਪਾਸੇ ਕਰੋ, ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਇਹ ਬੰਦੇ ਅਕਲਮੰਦ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਨਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਤਰੀਕੇ they trying to connect to something, and they find that there is something in this technology of case, so they keep it. ਲੰਮੇ ਕੇਸ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਆ।
Wasn't it in, like, was it the prisoners or the army when they completely shave their hair because they want them to lose their identity?
Yes.
As well, and also.
Yeah, there's a slide, sort of slide on that. No, that's fine. But yeah, so, and they did an experiment with those soldiers who had shaved heads and those who didn't. So we'll talk about that as well, Hanji. And obviously different religions as well. So the Corinthians, even in Christianity, if a woman has long hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair is given to her for a covering. Something that is a glory should be given special care and attention. For one of the disciples, who also mentions in the scriptures that leaving the hair long is a sign of submission to the one, okay, to Paramatma. Obviously, you know, when we see image of Jesus as well, sometimes he has, you know, ਲੰਮੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਕੇਸ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ, ਦਾੜੀ ਵੀ ਹੈਗੀ, ਉਹਦੇ ਕੇਸ ਵੀ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਹੋਏ ਆ. And obviously Samson and Delilah, there's even a film you can watch where Samson, he believed that he was a very strong warrior, and he was nobody could defeat him, but they realized his strength comes from his case. So Delilah then, obviously, if you know, don't want to spoil it for you guys, if you want to watch it, this Pratan film, still in sort of like, I think I'm actually black and white or colour, I don't know, but anyway, but she cuts his case and he loses his strength, right? So that belief, so in other faiths and other cultures, you find it as well. It's just that over time, they have given up on it and they sort of like moved on, because nobody in their dharma or in their sort of culture joined them back to this gift that Maharaj has given to all of us, right? But Maharaj reminded us, and he made it mandatory. ਜੇ ਇਦਾਂ ਨਾ ਗਿਆ ਤੇ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੱਲ ਫਿਰ ਆਪਣੀ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਕਰਨ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਣੀ, ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ made it a point part of our wrath. So Christianity and in the Jewish faith as well, right? All the days of the vow of his separation, a razor does not come upon his head. So they don't shave their heads, or they let their case grow as well, right? So, and their heads they shall not shave. So even in the scriptures, it talks about, you know, lamme case, long hair. So in other religions, you hear, even in their scriptures it's mentioned. So Rastafarians, right? So they sometimes, it must have happened to you as well. I've seen some Rastafarians, especially if it's a woman. So it looks like she's got like the malan. She looks like, you know, she's got the star. And you have to look twice. You're like, is she? Then you're like kind of, oh, perhaps not. And it works the other way as well. I think one Rastafarian lady, she asked my wife if she was Rastafarian because of obviously the star at the malan. So, but yeah, so even they, to the point where not only they keep their case, a long case, but they also sort of tie it up as well. Obviously, there's some who style it out, but it's just so it's like it's present in other faiths and other disciplines, other cultures. It's present, but it's just not been given the importance. It's not been pushed hard enough for them, for it to become like a norm. But obviously the Rastafarians, they're very strict. Just like ਆਪਾਂ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਕੇਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੱਟਦੇ, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੱਟਦੇ. They're very strong in their beliefs. So in certain faiths, you will find disciplines, you'll find that they also have the same respect for case like, you know, we do as well. So here's what we were talking about. So during the Vietnam War, right, so the Americans, they scouted like, because they're like, you know, in the what's the word I'm looking for? No, Indians, but what's the other? Native Americans, right? ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਸੀਗੇ ਉੱਥੇ, before they had an immigration problem. So
that's where they get the name from, Red Indians. Was it?
Yeah.
Columbus thought.
Yeah.
Indians.
Indians, yeah.
The colour of the skin.
Yeah. They're like, ਉੱਥੇ ਦੇ ਬੰਦੇ, like, you know, and they're like, so yeah, before they arrived on their boats to America, so these people, so the Native Americans, right? So they figured out, but they're like good, really good, like warriors, trackers. You know, they're amazing, right? So maybe if we can use them for when they went to war, because they were getting a thrashing. So they're like, let's. So what happened? Soon as they, recruited them, and part of the, obviously, the uniform is they basically cut your hair short. ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਇਦਾਂ ਕਰਤਾ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੰਮੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੇਸ ਸੀਗੇ ਕੱਟ ਕੇ ਛੋਟੇ ਕਰਤੇ and when they put them on the battlefield they realized but ਇਹ ਬੰਦੇ ਉਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਰਗੇ ਆ they're not different. We thought these guys were someone special, but they're just like the same, right? But then somebody said to them, ਨਹੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕੇਸ ਨੇ that's what gives them the edge. Right? That's why they're such good trackers and they can sense things even before the enemy would come and approach. They would have that sixth sense. And that's what gave them the edge. That's why they were like amazing at what they did. And they soon realized that this is the key. So they then did experiments with soldiers with and then without long hair. And then they found that those who had long hair, case, they were a better soldier, more alert soldier, right, than those who didn't, right? So they realized, so their strength lies in that. So they recognized it straight away, right? And it got proven, by your case gives you the edge over everyone else, right? Because ਇਹ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਆ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਦੀ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦੀ ਕੀਮਤ ਪਛਾਣ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਆ then they are not at disadvantage, but those who don't they are at disadvantage. So they realize very quickly. So this is what we talked about, the rishis, why they would keep long hair, right? And we talked about this, so I'm just going to go to the next slide, okay? And this again cements the same argument, how spiritually your case is a key to your success, right? ਜੇ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਨੂੰ ਪਾਉਣਾ ਆ ਤੇ ਜੇ ਇੱਕ ਤੇ it's Guru the more, Guru's got your back for sure, right? However, there's still hard work that needs to be done, and the hard work is bhakti, dhyan launa, kyunki dhyan launa is the hardest thing to achieve, right? People have tried for centuries, right? Kaiyan ne apni sari zindagi galti dhyan laun de vich. The Siddhs who were on Sumer Parbat, so these Siddhs who Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj went to see in the Sumer Parbat, some of them, they were like 300 years old, 400 years old, 500 saal edi umar de, right? And that was the reason why they referred to Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj as a bala, as in like a child, a bal, ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਬਾਲ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ, because ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਏਡੀ ਉਮਰ ਸੀਗੀ, right? Because they tried to do ਧਿਆਨ ਲਾਉਣ ਦੀ ਉਹਨੇ ਬੜੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕੀਤੀ. And when ਸ਼ਬਦ ਜਿੱਤੀ ਸਿੱਧ ਮੰਡਲੀ ਕੀਤੋ ਸਪਨਾ ਪੰਥ ਨਿਰਾਲਾ, so when Maharaj through shabad showed him the nirala path, the nirala way, the nirala is unique, none like it, ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਖਰਾ. This Panth Nirala, when they were introduced to this Nirala Panth, then when they touched Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj's feet and they said, Maharaj, the reason why we sat up here so far away is because when we go down, ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਥੱਲੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਸਾਡਾ ਧਿਆਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ. They say, we can't concentrate, ਸਾਡਾ ਧਿਆਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ. And Maharaj says that ਇਹ ਰੱਬ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ ਗਲਤੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਗੀ. The fault is not in ਰੱਬ. The fault is not in meditation. The fault is not with Paramatma's naam, but the fault is in you. And Maharaj says, be eh o dhyan a. Dhyan is something, once, ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਧਿਆਨ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਏ ਉਦੋਂ ਧਿਆਨ ਟੁੱਟਣਾ ਮੁਸ਼ਕਲ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਫਿਰ ਟੁੱਟਦਾ ਨਹੀਂਗਾ ਜੇ ਅਸਲ ਰੂਪ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਧਿਆਨ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਏ once if your ਧਿਆਨ breaks then that's not ਧਿਆਨ ਉਹ ਧਿਆਨ ਨਹੀਂਗਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਟੁੱਟ ਜਾਵੇ ਧਿਆਨ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਦੀ ਟੁੱਟੇ ਨਾ and they like ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਕਰੀਏ ਤੇ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਫਿਰ ਸਿੱਖ ਬਣਾਇਆ they became Sikh ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਜੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੁਣ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਤੇ ਪ੍ਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਦੀ ਭਗਤੀ ਕਰੋ ਤੇ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਚਲੇ ਜਾਓ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਧਿਆਨ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਏਗਾ right because the tools are available to us and Maharaj gave us those tools and dhyan is the most difficult one to achieve and those who are really serious about this right and those who have tried this method and they have employed this technology of long case and juda like the rishis do they will tell you bihan dhyan judan ch madad mildi a but because they lack the rest of the rat and the true shabad they were unable to go to all the way right but Maharaj gave us that so dhyan laun de vich so how your physical you need your physical to help you reach your spiritual because it's through your physical you're able to become enlightened because you need your jaban to simmer or your dhyan to focus right and everything at your disposal everything that you need to be able to achieve it is right there from the top of your head to your toes ਇੱਕ ਕੇਸ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਰੀਰ ਤੇ ਸਿਰ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਿਰ ਉੱਤੇ ਜੂੜਾ ਵੀ ਕਰਨਾ ਆ so that enhances your connection your signal back ਹਾਂਜੀ
Interesting. Just can you possibly expand on that last sentence? It takes approximately 3 years from the last time your hair was cut for new antennas to form at the tips of your hair. So I'm just thinking, how long does it take for your hair to fully grow? And when it even fully grows, I'm guessing, I might be wrong, it's not going to take 3 years, but then I don't think people realise your antennas still aren't formed to the tips of your hair. So
yes. So it's a very good point. It's like, you know, if you see, ਕਹਿ ਲਓ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨਵੇਂ ਕੇਸ ਕਈ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਨਵੀਂ ਦਾੜੀ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਆ ਹਨਾ ਉਹਨੇ ਦਾੜੀ ਚੁੱਭਦੀ ਆ you know people like kids will be like oh then ਦਾੜੀ ਚੁੱਭਦੀ ਆ because ਨਵੇਂ ਕੇਸ and their case compared to someone who's never cut their case or shaved they'll be a bit more thicker or you know and so ਜਿਹਨੇ ਰੱਖੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੇਸ ਥੋੜੇ soft ਹੁੰਦੇ and that's how it works so what that means is it'll take although it'll grow to its length but the bit that you don't see for the hair to become fully functional for the function that it has been created for which is by paramatma bhakti dhyan launa so that part of your hair takes about 3 years for it to kind of complete its cycle and it becomes like a fully functional case if you like so you may see the case kind of it doesn't take 3 years but what you lost when you cut it right for that to come back and be in tune again it can take up to 3 years for that to happen right it takes a lot of energy there was no it's like as I said in the beginning for a Sikh right having the scientific reasoning is brilliant you know so that if somebody is asking a question you're able to kind of you know sort of explain from a different angle however for a Sikh right that had not much significance it's like for ਇਹ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਨੇ ਕਹਿਤੀ ਗੱਲ ਤੇ ਜੇ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਪੂਰਾ ਆ ਤੇ ਉਹਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਵੀ ਪੂਰੀ ਆ ਫਿਰ ਮੰਨਣੀ ਪੈਣੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਦਾਂ ਮੰਨ ਲਈਏ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਵੀ ਕੱਟੀਏ ਹੀ ਨਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ it's like you know harder to do in some cases but the thing is if we want to go into like the science of it you will find so many amazing things right what Maharaj has given us so the reason why Maharaj made it such a point to the point where Maharaj said to the Sikh it's so important for you to keep your case, that even if by some sort of mistake you end up in hell, I'll pull you out with your by your case. What that actually meant was भी सिखा एक होर कुछ भी नहीं जे एक ये निशानी रह गई तेरी फिर भी तू बख्शा जाएगा ये एक यही कल्ली यही निशानी रह गई रे right that's how important case are how important है ना कोई बंदे का वो तो बंदा जड़ा चला गया जी how can you they have case whatever एक तो असीं देखा नहीं किन्ने केस होंदे ना होंदे जिहड़ी साडी सूखम शरीर आ but the important thing is Maharaj is saying भी सिखा बाकी कुछ भी ना रह जाए तेरे को जे इक्को ही गुरु की निशानी रह गई ना तो तेन मैं नरक चों कढ़ लूँ तेन नरक चों so that's how important they are so जे गुरु की गल this is what I was saying earlier that जिहड़ा सियाणा हुंदा ना सियाणा बंदा कहंदा यार महाराज ने कोई चीज़ दित्ती आ let's find out why right भी क्यों दित्ती आ है ना and कई जिहड़े मूर्ख हुंदे आ ओह कहंदे आ महाराज ने दित्ती आ क्यों दित्ती आ as in like कोई लोड़ नहीं है ना कट दो इस करके it has so many and the other point जिहड़ी चीज़ की ਜਦੋਂ ਲੋੜ ਪਈ ਉਹਨੇ ਕੀਮਤ ਉਦੋਂ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਦੀ ਆ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਚੀਜ਼ ਇਦਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਨਾ ਈਵਨ ਐਟ ਹੋਮ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਕਈ ਚੀਜ਼ ਕਈ ਪਈ ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਆ ਜਦੋਂ ਲੋੜ ਪੈਂਦੀ ਉਦੋਂ ਲੱਭਦੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਗੀ ਬੰਦਾ ਹਰ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਰੱਖੀ ਆ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਇਸ ਸੈਂਸ ਥਿੰਗ ਬੰਦਾ ਪਾਗਲ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਯਾਰ ਇੱਥੇ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਰੱਖੀ ਸੀਗੀ ਕਿਥੋਂ ਕੌਣ ਚੁੱਕ ਕੇ ਲੈ ਗਿਆ ਅੱਬਾ ਉਦੋਂ ਲੱਭਦੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਗੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਇਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਭਗਤੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਉਦੋਂ ਕੇਸਾਂ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਪੈਂਦੀ ਆ ਹਾਂ ਤੇ ਉਦੋਂ ਪੂਰੀ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਣਦੀ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਚਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੇਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੀ ਰਹਿਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਕਾਉਂਦੇ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਸੋ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਟਾਕਸ ਅਬਾਊਟ ਹੇਅਰ ਨਾਨਕ ਸਿਰ ਖੁੱਤੇ ਸੈਤਾਨੀ ਇੰਨਾ ਗੱਲ ਨਾ ਪਾਣੀ ਸੋ ਦੇ ਟਾਕ ਅਬਾਊਟ ਓਬਵੀਅਸਲੀ ਦੋਜ਼ ਹੂ ਬਿਲੀਵਡ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੇਸ ਨੇ ਸੋ ਵੈਨ ਸਮਬਡੀ ਡਾਈਡ ਦੇ ਵੁੱਡ ਵੀ ਉਹਦਾ ਮੁੰਡਨ ਕਰ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਜਾਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਜੰਮਦਾ ਆ ਉਹਦਾ ਮੁੰਡਨ ਕਰ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਕੇਸ ਐਂਡ ਪਰ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕੇਸ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਮੁੱਲ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਮੱਤ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਦੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਆ ਸ਼ੈਤਾਨੀ ਮੱਤ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਸ਼ੈਤਾਨ ਦੀ ਮੱਤ ਕਹਿ ਲਓ ਰਾਈਟ ਓਬਵੀਅਸਲੀ ਵੀ ਡੋਂਟ ਬਲੀਵ ਇਨ ਦ ਕਨਸੈਪਟ ਆਫ ਲਾਈਕ ਸ਼ੈਤਾਨ ਉਹ ਬਟ ਇੱਕ ਗੱਲ ਬਣੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ ਲਾਈਕ ਉਹ ਗੱਲ ਇਹ ਆ ਭਈ ਇਫ ਯੂ ਵਾਂਟ ਟੂ ਸੇ ਈਵਲ ਰੋਮ 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 ਰੋਮੇ ਮੈਂ ਗੁਰਮੁਖ ਰਾਮ ਧਿਆਏ ਰਾਮ ਸੋ that with each and every hair ਰੋਮ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਗੁਰਮੁਖ ਆ ਉਹ ਨਾਮ ਜਪਦਾ ਆ ਰਾਈਟ ਉਹ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਨਾਮ ਜਪਦਾ ਆ ਬਿਕਾਜ਼ it multiplies ਜਿੰਨੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੇਸ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਨਾ ਸਰੀਰ ਉੱਤੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਮੂੰਹ ਨਾਲ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ that vibration is then carried once we get to that state that vibration is carried from our tongue all the way inside our ਹਿਰਦਾ ਅਤੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਫਿਰ ਸਾਡੇ ਹਿਰਦੇ 'ਚੋਂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਨਿਕਲਦਾ ਸੋ ਉਹ ਫਿਰ ਸਾਰੇ ਸਰੀਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਾਈਬ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਸੋ ਦਾ ਹੋਲ ਆਫ ਯੋਰ ਸਰੀਰ ਯੋਰ ਬੋਡੀ ਮੈਡੀਟੇਟਸ ਐਂਡ ਵਾਈਬ੍ਰੇਟਸ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਮੈਡੀਟੇਟਸ ਔਨ ਗੁਰੂ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਇੱਕ ਇੱਕ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੇਸ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਰੀਰ 'ਤੇ ਲੱਗਾ ਆ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਹੁਣ ਆਪਾਂ ਪੜ੍ਹਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਨਾ ਲੱਖ ਜਿਹਵਾ ਦੇਹੋ ਮੇਰੇ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਸੇਜ਼ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਖਾਂ ਜੀਬਾਂ ਦੇ ਦੇ Maharaj, give me like lakhan, give me like countless of tongues so I may remember and meditate upon your name. And those tongues come in the form of your roam. ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਰੋਮ ਆ ਉਹ ਲੱਖ ਜੀਭ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਬਣਦੀ ਆ ਸਾਡਾ ਇੱਕ ਇੱਕ ਰੋਮ ਇੱਕ ਇੱਕ ਜੀਭ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਆ ਜਦੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਹਿਰਦੇ 'ਚੋਂ ਉਹ ਫਿਰ ਸਾਰਾ ਸਰੀਰ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਕਰਦਾ ਆ and then you can imagine the ਧਿਆਨ that's what I was saying earlier ਜਿਹੜਾ ਧਿਆਨ ਆ ਉਹ ਕਦੀ ਟੁੱਟਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਜੋ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਹੋ ਜੇ ਐਂਡ ਵੀ ਰਿਮੈਂਬਰ ਭਾਈ ਤਾਰੂ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਐਂਡ ਦਿਸ ਧਿਆਨ ਇਜ਼ ਸੱਚ ਐਨ ਇਮੈਂਸ ਧਿਆਨ ਵੀ ਖੋਪਰ ਵੀ ਲੈ ਗਿਆ ਐਂਡ ਜ਼ਕਰੀਆ ਗੋਜ਼ ਪਾਸਟ ਰਾਈਟ ਐਂਡ ਭਾਈ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਭਾਈ ਤਾਰੂ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ is sitting there is copper is not on his head and Zakaria Khan he goes ਮੈਂ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ ਆਵਾਂ ਵੀ ਕੀ ਹਾਲ ਬਣਿਆ ਉਹਦਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਭਾਈ ਤਾਰੂ ਸਿੰਘ ਦਾ and he goes ਸਿੱਖਾ ਤੂੰ ਹਾਲੇ ਮਰਿਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਹਾਲੇ ਜਿਉਣਾ ਭਾਈ ਤਾਰੂ ਸਿੰਘ said ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ he goes ਤੈਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੀ ਜੁੱਤੀ ਅੱਗੇ ਲਾ ਕੇ ਨਰਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਚਾ ਕੇ ਫਿਰ ਮੈਂ ਜਾਊਂ, ਡੋਂਟ ਵਰੀ, ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ, ਤੂੰ ਚਿੰਤਾ ਨਾ ਕਰ। ਐਂਡ ਇਟ ਵਾਜ਼ that ਬਚਨ straight away ਉਹਦਾ ਪਿਸ਼ਾਬ ਬੰਦ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਸੀਗਾ ਉਹਦਾ, straight away he couldn't pass urine from that moment onwards, right? Now the thing was, and we talk about all the shaheeds, they're going through immense torture, physical sort of the intensity of the pain you can imagine, how much excruciating it would have been to go through if you're being sawed in half, or you're getting your little joints being cut. But the thing was, their dhyan was in Maharaj's charan, and it was so deep that nothing could take their dhyan away. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਚਿਹਰੇ ਤੇ ਨੂਰ ਹੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਸੀਗਾ. They're like, the radiance on their face was just like unimaginable. And one of the reasons why initially, obviously, I'm not going to go into too much details about Bhai Taro Singh Sakhi because you have heard it many times. ਬਹੁਤ ਡਰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਭਾਈ ਤਾਰੂ ਸਿੰਘ ਕੋਲ ਜਾਣ ਲੱਗਿਆਂ. ਜਦੋਂ when Zakaria said to the Nai, to the barbers, go and cut his, and when they had a look at Bhai Taru Singh's face, वो चेहरे ते एडा वड्डा नूर सीगा that it wasn't a fear of we इतना कोई डर जाएगा भी हाँ भी he's going to curse me or whatever. The fear was that they saw Paramatma's noor, light of God shining through Bhai Taru Singh's face, and they were fearful that if they do what they've been asked to do, it's going to be a big paap. It paap hoga. That was the dar that they had. That was the fear that they had. क्योंकि वो चेहरे ते रोशनी इन्नी सी. सो जेड़ा ध्यान आ, एक बारी जेड़ा ध्यान जुड़ जाए साध संगी, असल ध्यान फिर कदी टुटदा नहीं गा. फिर भावें सिर ते आरा फिरी जावे, भावें खोपड़ लै जाए, बंद बंद कट्टिया जावे, टोटा टुटा हो जाए, जो मर्जी हो जाए, वो ध्यान टुटदा नहीं. इस करके वो भाई तारू सिंह ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਕੇਸਾਂ ਸਵਾਸਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਜੇ ਨਿਭ ਜਾਵੇ, ਕੇਸਾਂ ਸਵਾਸਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਨਿਭਾਤੀ. And in Gurbani, Guru Sahib Ji talks about of a ਸਾਬਤ ਸੂਰਤ ਦਸਤਾਰ ਸਿਰਾ, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਾਬਤ ਸੂਰਤ ਆ ਉਹ, and it's a complete form is the form of someone who has case, who doesn't shave or cut their case. So ਸਾਬਤ ਸੂਰਤ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਦਸਤਾਰ ਸਜਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਦਸਤਾਰ ਬੰਨ੍ਹਦੇ ਆ, ਹੈ ਨਾ, because that's how Paramatma came and gave darshan. We talk about Bhagat Namdev Ji, we hear about the Shabad Khoob Teri Pagri, Meethe Tere Bol, Dwarka Nagri Kahe Ke Mughal. When Paramatma came in the form of a Mughal, had a dastar, when dastar banni si, khoob, बहुत सुंदर दस्तार बनी, बड़ा मिठा बोलते सीगे, मीठे तेरे बोल. And that's how Bhagat Namdev Ji ला भी ये मुगल नहीं हो सकता, मुगल इन्ना मिठा बोलते नहीं है. ये कोई पछाण लिया भी ये परमात्मा है. परमात्मा ने भी दस्तार च आके दर्शन दिते, पूर्ण रूप धार के, जिहड़ा पूरा रूप आ वो जिहड़ा सानू दिता ना महाराज ने, वो रूप परमात्मा दा भी आ. क्योंकि गुरु गोबिंद सिंह जी महाराज से खालसा मेरो रूप है खास, भी जिहड़ा रूप मेरा आ ना वही परमात्मा दा आ, क्योंकि महाराज आप परमात्मा, गुरु साहब जी परमात्मा हिमसेल्फ, एंड वही रूप महाराज ने सानू देता, एंड वही रूप च दर्शन परमात्मा ने आके अपने भगतां नू दिते. एंड बिना शस्त्र के संग देव ना दिदारे, महाराज says if you want to have my darshan, right, then महाराज says फिर केस रखने पैणगे. And then in Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, सोहने नक जिन लमड़े वाला, भी परमात्मा himself has long है, ਉਹਦੇ परमात्मा ਦੇ केस ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਲੰਮੇ, ਜਿੱਦਾਂ परमात्मा ने दर्शन ਦਿੱਤੇ ਆ ਕੇ. Obviously परमात्मा is formless, but when परमात्मा gives darshan, this is the form that परमात्मा takes, भी ਲੰਮੇ ਉਹਦੇ केस ਨੇ, right? So that's the image that we keep, that ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਆ, ਹੈ ਨਾ.
Dyeing your hair or straightening your hair or perming hair, is that allowed?
It's not. No. No. I've seen people, 70, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸ਼ਕਲ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਬੰਦਰ 17 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਦਾ ਆ. 75 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਦਾ ਸ਼ਕਲ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ 70 ਕਹਿਣ ਰਹੀ ਆ ਅਤੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਸਟ ਫॉर ਮੈਨ ਫੇਰਿਆ ਜਾਂ ਹੋਰ ਕੋਈ ਰੰਗ ਫੇਰਿਆ ਉਹ ਉਹ ਕਹਿਣ ਡਿਆ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ 35 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਦਾ ਜਾਂ 30 ਦਾ ਜਾਂ 25 ਦਾ ਉਹ ਮੈਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੀ you can tell if someone so ਜਿੰਨਾ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰ ਲਈਏ ਵੀ ਭਾਣਾ ਮੰਨਣਾ ਹੀ ਪੈਣਾ ਇੱਕ ਦਿਨ ਵੀ ਹਾਂ you are who you are you know ਵੀ ਕੀ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਵੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਦਿਖਾਉਣਾ ਐਂਡ it just becomes a ਹਾਸੇ ਵਾਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਆ ਹੈ ਨਾ and there's people who pay a ridiculous amount of money to kind of go through buy this product that product ਵੀ ਉਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੋ ਰੰਗਣੇ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਕੇਸ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਬੇਅਦਬੀ ਆ ਕੇਸਾਂ ਦੀ we are meddling with God's creation what Maharaj has given us it's like ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ again the point ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੰਸਾਰ ਕਰਨਾ if our ਜੀਵਨ is only restricted to this life and that's it and we're not interested in anything beyond this ਵੀ ਖਾਓ ਪੀਓ and ਜੋ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਕਰੋ ਇੱਥੇ ਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਫਿਰ ਤਾਂ ਜੋ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਕਰੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਰੰਗੋ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਵੱਖੋ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਤਾਂ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਰੰਗ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੇ ਲਾਏ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਸਿਰ 'ਤੇ ਯੂ ਸੀ ਪੀਪਲ ਕੋਈ ਪੀਲੇ ਰੰਗ ਦਾ ਅਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਹਰੇ ਰੰਗ ਦਾ ਐਂਡ ਸਮਟਾਈਮਸ ਯੂ ਹੈਵ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਟ ਸਟ੍ਰੈਂਡਸ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਟ ਕਲਰਸ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਸੇਲ ਲੱਗੀ ਹੋਣੀ ਰੰਗਾਂ ਦੀ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਲਾਤੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਲਿਆ ਕੇ ਯੂ ਡੋਂਟ ਨੋ it's like what's your like I struggle with ਵੀ ਜੇ 60-70 'ਚ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਾ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਕਰਨ ਕੀ ਆਇਆ ਇੱਥੇ if I don't realize when I'm 70 that what's my real purpose in life ਮੈਂ ਹਾਲੇ ਵੀ ਰੰਗੀ ਜਾਣਾ then it's like what a waste of a life I have what a waste right but please I'm not trying to have a go at anybody I'm just like kind of this is just my way if you know me I like to have a little joke sometimes and there's nothing personal directed at anybody so please forgive me मैं हुणे माफ़ी मंग लेना भी मगर to answer your question नहीं so ਰਹਿਤਨਾਮੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕੰਨਿਆ ਕੋ ਮਾਰੇ ਮੁੰਨੇ ਕੋ ਕੰਨਿਆ ਦੇਵੇ ਸੋ ਤਨਖਾਹੀਆ ਸੋ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜੇ ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ ਆ ਉਹ ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੀ ਧੀ ਦੇਵੇ ਵੀ ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ and the hardest thing or the I think ਗੁਰੂ ਦੀ ਹੁਕਮ ਅਦੂਲੀ ਵੀ ਜੇ ਆਪ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਪੁੱਤਰੀ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਤੇ ਇਸ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਵਿਆਹ ਦਈਏ ਬਈ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਕੋਈ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਦਾ ਨਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੈਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਹੈ ਨਾ so this is why obviously there's a bit more to this Ratnama but obviously it has to be someone who's practicing themselves right someone who's a Gursikh practicing themselves ਵੀ ਉਹ ਆਪਣੀ ਲੜਕੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ practicing as well ਵੀ ਉਹ ਕਿਸੇ because it's happened in history where the ਲੜਕੀ got married to someone who wasn't practicing they weren't practicing ਵੀ ਸਿੱਖ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਅਮਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਕਰਦੇ I'm just going to move on to this I'm going to leave with this one here and I'm going to then just few of those questions because I realize the time few of those questions we're going to quickly answer but if somebody has to go then by all means you don't have to kind of you can just leave but history tells us that Bhai Taru Singh ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕੇਸ ਨੇਗੇ when they tried cutting Bhai Taru Singh's case they became like steel they could not cut them right so I was like let's ask AI see if it is possible somehow that our case are they as strong as steel or can they obviously there's way they are strong but I'll talk about that I say pound for pound human hair is already as strong as steel ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਕਈ ਬੰਦੇ ਨਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ they start having shanka as I said in the beginning that Maharaj doesn't want his Sikh to live in shanka because ਜੇ ਹਾਲੇ ਵੀ ਜੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਪੂਰਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਧਾਰ ਕੇ ਵੀ ਸ਼ੰਕਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਮਨ 'ਚ ਰਹਿ ਗਿਆ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਮਿਸ ਦ ਪੁਆਇੰਟ ਸੋ ਕਈ ਸਾਡੇ ਸ਼ੰਕਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਭਾਈ ਤਾਰੂ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੇ ਕੇਸ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਲਾਈਕ ਲੁੱਕ ਐਟ ਸਾਇੰਸ ਉਹ ਸਾਇੰਸ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਬਟ ਦ ਥਿੰਗ ਇਜ਼ ਦੇ ਆਰ ਦੋਜ਼ ਪ੍ਰੋਪਰਟੀਜ਼ of strength. But the point is, for a Gursikh who has mastered like his buddhi, his conscience, and his sarir, and every aspect of himself, including his physical self, they're able to manipulate. They're able to manipulate, right, the atomic structure of our sarir, our body, right, to however they choose, right? So the possibility that ਜਿਹੜੇ case ne, could they become so strong that they are unable to be cut with scissors or any blades? Yes, they can. If you're able to manipulate the atomic structure of your case, that's all it is. It's like, you know, different, if you're able to, and someone who's a pura Gursikh, right, they're able to manipulate that. So ਜਦੋਂ ਭਾਈ ਤਾਰੂ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਵੀ ਤੇਰੇ ਕੇਸ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਕਰਿਆ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਸੀ, ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਬੜਾ ਮਾਣ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਕੇਸਾਂ ਤੇ, and he said something so disrespectful. He goes, ਤੇਰੇ ਕੇਸ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆ ਨਾ ਮੈਂ ਝਾੜ ਦੇਣੇ ਆ, he said. He goes, ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਜੁੱਤੀ ਨਾਲ ਤੇਰੇ ਕੇਸ ਝਾੜ ਦੇਣੇ. And at that point, when ਭਾਈ ਤਾਰੂ ਸਿੰਘ was like, and ਆਪਣੀ ਮੌਜ ਸੀਗੇ, but ਉਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਲਾਲ ਹੋ ਗਈਆਂ. At that point he said that, ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੀ ਮੋਹਰ ਆ ਕੇਸਾਂ ਨੂੰ, he's saying that. ਉਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਫਿਰ ਭਾਈ ਤਾਰੂ ਸਿੰਘ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀਗਾ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਗੁਰੂ ਦਾ ਸਿੱਖ ਭਾਣਾ ਮੰਨਦਾ, right? But at the same time he has all the power that he needs. ਮਗਰ ਉਹ ਭਾਣੇ 'ਚ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ, ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ, ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਹ ਗੱਲ ਤੂੰ ਕਹੀ ਆ ਨਾ, he goes ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ, he goes ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੇ ਕੇਸ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦਾ, ਉਸ ਗੁਰੂ ਦਾ ਸਿੱਖ, he goes forget that ਗੁਰੂ, ਉਸ ਗੁਰੂ ਦਾ ਸਿੱਖ ਦੇ ਜੁੱਤੀ 'ਚ ਇੰਨੀ ਤਾਕਤ ਆ ਵੀ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਜੁੱਤੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਨਰਕਾਂ 'ਚ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਊਗਾ. And those are the bachans of ਭਾਈ ਤਾਰੂ ਸਿੰਘ. ਫਿਰ ਬੀਰ ਰਾਸ਼ਟਰ ਨੇ ਬਚਨ ਕੀਤੇ, and then that happened. ਜਦੋਂ ਫਿਰ ਜ਼ਕਰੀਆ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਨਾ ਵੀ ਹਾਲੇ ਤਾਂ ਜਿਉ ਨਾ, he goes ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ, ਤੇਰਾ ਵੀ ਸਮਾਂ ਆਉਂਦਾ. And then obviously he could not, and then he was in so much pain, and then he called Subeg Singh, and he said be ਹੁਣ speak to ਭਾਈ ਤਾਰੂ ਸਿੰਘ. So he was like the in-between guy, Subeg Singh, and he said and he said, look, you're going to have to do ਅਰਦਾਸ. ਉੱਥੇ ਸਿੰਘ ਦਾ ਬਚਨ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ, you're going to have to do ਪੰਥ ਕੋਲੋਂ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਕਰਾਉਣੀ ਪੈਣੀ. So that he had to then listen, and ਅਰਦਾਸ ਕਰਾਈ. ਭਾਈ ਤਾਰੂ ਸਿੰਘ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਲੈ ਜਾਓ ਜੁੱਤੀ, ਹੁਣ ਠੇਕ ਮਾ ਜੋੜਾ ਅਤੇ ਮਾਰੋ ਉਹਦੇ ਸਿਰ 'ਚ ਜਾ ਕੇ. and then ਉਹਦੇ ਫਿਰ ਸਿਰ 'ਚ ਵੱਜਾ ਜੋੜਾ ਭਾਈ ਤਾਰੂ ਸਿੰਘ ਦਾ, ਜਿਉਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਸਿਰ 'ਚ ਜੋੜਾ ਵੱਜਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ, and that's how he then felt release and comfort. ਵੀ ਜੁੱਤਾ ਮਾਰ ਕੇ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਭਾਈ ਤਾਰੂ ਸਿੰਘ ਨੇ ਬਚਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ, ਉਹ ਨਰਕਾਂ 'ਚ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਗਿਆ. ਫਿਰ ਭਾਈ ਤਾਰੂ ਸਿੰਘ ਨੇ after 22 days ਭਾਈ ਤਾਰੂ ਸਿੰਘ ਨੇ ਫਿਰ ਆਪਣਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਸੀਰ ਤਿਆਗਿਆ ਸੀਗਾ, ਰਾਈਟ. ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮੌਤ ਆ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਖੜੀ ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਆ, ਬਈ ਇਹ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦੀ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਆ, ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦੀ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਆ, ਇੰਨੀ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਨੇ ਸ਼ਕਤੀ ਦਿੱਤੀ. ਮਗਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਆ ਉਹ ਆਪਣੇ ਲਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਵਰਤਦੇ ਬਚਨ ਜਿਹੜੇ. ਸੋ ਭਾਈ ਤਾਰੂ ਸਿੰਘ ਨੇ ਇੱਕ ਕਹਿ ਲਓ ਬਈ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਮਿਸਾਲ ਕਾਇਮ ਕਰਤੀ. ਦੈਨ ਦਿਸ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲ ਦੈਟ ਵਾਜ਼ ਸੈਟ, ਬਈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਦਾ ਸਿੱਖ ਆ ਉਹ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਖੋਪੜ 'ਤੇ ਲੈ ਜਾਏ ਮਗਰ ਉਹਦੇ ਕੇਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੈਣੇ ਚਾਹੀਦੇ. ਤਾਂ ਸਾ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਦਾ ਕੇਸ ਆ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੀ ਮੋਹਰ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ, ਹਾਂਜੀ. ਸੋ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, I'm just going to finish here those couple of questions you've asked in the beginning. I'm just going to say, if somebody is struggling to keep their case, ਸੰਗਤ is the most important, ਹੈ ਨਾ. ਸੰਗਤ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਕਰੋ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਕਰਕੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ 'ਚ ਉਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਪੈਦਾ ਹੋਵੇ, right? You need some sort of ਮਨੋਬਲ. So you need sort of emotional strength and the capability to be able to change your appearance sometimes, because sometimes we feel insecure. So ਆਪਣੇ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੋ, right? But keep good ਸੰਗਤ and do ਅਰਦਾਸ to Maharaj. And you know, when we do ਅਰਦਾਸ, ਆਪਾਂ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਨਾ, ਸਿੱਖੀ ਕੇਸਾਂ ਸਵਾਸਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਨਿਭ ਜਾਵੇ. When it comes to that point, then stop there a few times and repeat those words. Sikhi kesan swasan naal nib jaye. Maharaj, repeat it a few times. Onu baar baar japu. Maharaj sun lenda. If you really want to do it, then Maharaj is with you all the way. Right? So, changi sangat ch rehna te bachchiyan nu vi changi sangat deni. Make sure they keep good company and inspire them. आप भी रखो, क्योंकि जी आप नहीं रखते तो बच्चों को किदां बच्चे किदां रख लैणगे, है ना? So बच्चों ਨੂੰ So I don't know what other question you had.
It was just about the hygiene of hair.
Hygiene, yeah. So we are meant to wash our case every day. Now, it's for some people it's difficult to do that, right? It's like I'm lucky over the years. I have a few left now, right? And it takes me sort of not that long to wash my case and to dry them is even quicker. But some who have long hair, भी उन्हां दे भारे हुंदे आ case, right? But that's the rat. So what the rat says is because ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆ ਕੇਸੀ ਇਸ਼ਨਾਨ ਰੋਜ਼ ਕਰਨਾ, right? Every day, yeah. So it might not be possible for you to wash them with shampoo and conditioner every day. We chalo, ajkal shampoo भी किहड़ा सस्ता आ, it's like shampoo भी महंगा है, like unless you go to Lidl, like you have to use the half bottle to kind of mani moti chag ban. But it's like I remember once this you might have heard of Bhai Singh ji. Bhai Singh ji from Akhand Kirtan Jatha, they are an amazing, beautiful soul. And they used to do Amrit Vela. We turned up to this Amrit Vela once, and the Bhai Sahib was there, and they were like cleaning people's shoes. And the Singh with me, and he just asked him the question. He goes, Bhai Sahib, case jehde roz matlab ki shnaan karna chahiye. He goes, haan ji, haan. He goes, yeah. He goes, फिर साबण भी रोज़ लाना? He goes, हाँ रोज़. He goes, मगर मेरे केस बहुत लत्थदे है. He goes, कोई नहीं. He goes, जे लत्थदे कोई नहीं, मगर केस चंगी तरह साफ करने. Obviously look after it properly. So we are to wash it and dry it and put तेल in it and things like that. So that's the hygiene. So महाराज ने भी क्या भी कंघा दोनों वक्त कर. So दोनों वक्त we are to comb our hair twice a day. एक बारी दिने, एक बारी रात ਨੂੰ, right? The case ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੇ if you can't put sabun in every day, try and put sabun in every other day, right? At least my case sometimes, but if you can, you should be roj kesan di jaise that's how you look after it. So ਧੋ ਕੇ ਸੁਕਾ ਕੇ ਤੇ ਤੇਲ ਲਾਉਣਾ, ਹਾਂਜੀ. Okay ji, any other questions before we finish? यही सी में लगता है ना, ठीक है जी. Okay ji, so thank you very much. I'm still here. If you didn't feel comfortable enough asking a question in front of everybody, but if you can by all means approach me, and then we can talk about it. Okay ji.